and welcome back to another episode of JTG. Murder! Is that sticking? I don't know. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Mayonnaise! Mayonnaise! Many mayonnaise!
I think you get making it worse.
Yeah, okay. So, anyway, all right. Just sitting in today, Hayley Stavely and James Joseph. And because this is mini, let's not mess around. Let's go. All right.
You're the one who has to go.
Tell us, hurry up.
Here we go. Today, I am giving you Just the Gist of the disappearance of Bobby Dunbar.
I don't know.
I don't know who that is either. Bobby Dunbar.
Bobby Dunbar.
No, I'm at a 0 on this one.
He sounds cute though. I hope he's not a little boy.
He is a little boy.
No.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant like, I hope he's not a little boy, like, because if it is, who cares? Like,
No, because
Bobby,
a little boy called Bobby.
Yeah, a little boy called Bobby Dunbar. Here we go. It's August 23rd, 1912.
Ooh.
I know, Titanic times.
Wow.
So Bobby Dunbar is 4 years old and his family are on a little fishing trip and they're staying in a wood cabin They're staying in a wood cabin at Swayze Lake in Louisiana. And little Bobby Dunbar's dad is Percy Dunbar and his mum is Leslie Dunbar and his brother is, I love this, Alonzo.
Oh,
I know.
Bobby and Alonzo.
What? Bobby and I know.
Yeah.
What? So there's also a bunch of other like family and friends there. It's like a big family sort of fishing trip. And at one point on the trip, Bobby Dunbar and Alonzo head off down to the lake with a family friend called Paul, and they're going to shoot fish in the lake or something because that's what people did, like
Shoot
or like
them.
lake shooting or fishing
shooting.
or I suppose, is it easier than fishing? I don't know.
Well,
How?
Because it's not shooting fish in a barrel, it's a lake.
That's easy.
I feel like it's harder. Anyway, it's just the gist, so that's not the point. Discuss it later.
Can we do shooting fish in a lake? Just the
Yeah.
gist mini at some point.
We will.
What is it? Why did we do it?
So a bunch of kids go down to the lake, like there's a bunch of them down there, they're all having fun. And on the way back, Paul, the family friend, has little Alonzo on his shoulders and Bobby sort of running along beside him. And when they all get back to the cabin, they realize that Paul has lost track of him and they do a head count and realize Bobby isn't with them. So everyone that is there on the trip camping, immediately they all sort of run back looking for Bobby. There's no trace of him, and the Dunbars are a pretty well-to-do family, so the authorities don't mess around. Like the police get involved very quickly, take it very seriously. That night the police are there and they're dragging chains along the bottom of the lake, like divers are in the lake. 500 people from the local area come like searching.
Wow.
But there's no trace. He's just completely gone. Like a 4-year-old boy just disappeared into the wilderness. So the mum, Leslie, gets so sick with shock and grief that the family has to go back home to, I'm hoping it's pronounced Opelousas.
Opelousas.
I mean, I feel like the accent covers any
Opelousas.
mispronunciations anyway.
Because the final 3 letters are SAS, but you know how Arkansas
yeah,
is
yeah,
spelled
yeah.
Arkansas,
Yeah.
but it's Arkansas. So I'm hoping because this
But then what about Kansas?
well, I'm going with Opelousas.
Opelousas.
So they go home to Opelousas, but a bunch of people stick around for weeks in this like camping spot to keep searching, but there is just nothing. Like there's not even any sign that he'd been eaten by an animal because there's a lot of alligators around there. So there was sort of some theories that maybe an alligator grabbed him, but they don't find any trace of remains or anything. It's just completely disappeared. Total
Aliens.
mystery. Aliens. So then, because there's no trace of him, everybody, but especially the family, because they're a wealthy family, start to assume that he's been kidnapped. Back then, there were lots of what they referred to as hobos, but we would say, like, I guess, transients. Yeah, hipsters. Dressed the same.
Yeah.
Just anyone you see walking down the street in Fitzroy or Marrickville, like transients or like unhoused people or whatever. But to me, it's just like people you see walking around with their stuff in a red sack on a stick.
Yes.
You know?
Especially in 1912.
Yeah, like how
Blinky Bill.
what
Yes.
Dennis the Menace does when he runs away. Yeah. So, and those people sort of travel from town to town asking farmers for work and staying at people's houses when they can find places to stay. So the Dunbars become convinced that Bobby was taken by one of these people and there might be like some kind of ransom demanded, although there hasn't been one yet. The dad, Percy Dunbar, goes to the nearest big city, which is New Orleans, and he speaks to all the press and he hands out thousands of flyers and gets stuff put in all the papers, but there's still nothing. So if someone does want a ransom, like, why aren't they asking, you know? The people in the town of Opelousas even put together a $1,000 reward, which is $30,000 in today's money, but eventually everybody gets their money back because after months and months, there's just no leads. Like it's cold case. But everybody knows this kid now, and pretty much half of the country does because his picture just got printed in every paper. The story went wider than Louisiana and like New Orleans. It spreads all over. So he becomes kind of like that famous little Bobby Dunbar missing news story
Maddie
at
McCann
the time.
of
Yeah, it's like a
1912.
huge news story. Then, 8 months after he disappeared, a message comes through from a town in Mississippi. MISSISSIPPI.
Perfect.
Mrs. M. Mrs.
Yeah. Let's just say the message says that a strange man was hanging around the town with a kid who looked a lot like Bobby Dunbar. And the man was being really mean to him and didn't really seem like his dad. So the town members took it upon themselves to do a citizen's arrest. And so they had him in custody and they sent word through to like the Dunbars that we've got this guy. And this man's name was William Walters. And when they asked him who the kid was, he sort of had a lot of different answers and seemed very sus, couldn't give them a straight answer. And it all seemed very dodgy. So the police want Bobby's parents to come and confirm whether or not it's Bobby Dunbar. So Percy and Leslie Dunbar get to this town.
Hold on, does Bobby Dunbar not know if he's Bobby Dunbar or not?
He's not saying anything.
Oh.
So Percy and Leslie Dunbar get to this town and they meet this kid. I mean, he was 4 years old when he went missing. He's, you know, I don't know.
Baz
4-year-olds
is 4.
talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
He know who he
sings
is?
penis.
Penis. I mean,
he
in
doesn't
my
know who he
mind,
is.
I always assume like in 1912, they didn't let kids talk. Like,
Okay,
but
yeah.
anyway, he's not saying anything. And so Percy and Leslie Dunbar get to the town where the Walters guy is being held and they've got Bobby there and they meet him. And Percy and Leslie seem a little unsure. They say he kind of looks like Bobby, but he won't answer to the name Bobby. And he seems very quiet and scared and like he doesn't know who Leslie and Percy are.
But you recognise your own kid. Like 8 months is not that long when you.
But there's like no photos
This
back
feels
then.
sus. This feels sus.
I don't know. I feel like if I hadn't looked at photos of my kids for 8 months, I'd still remember what they looked like.
Well, anyway, the next day.
Aren't you a great mum?
Sorry.
Good for you, recognising your children. So the next day, Leslie asks if she can give Bobby a bath. And when she does, whatever it is, moles, whatever, she's immediately like, no doubt this is my son. I know this is my son now. And so then the guy he was found with, William Walters, is like, okay, whoa. I did not kidnap a rich kid. Like, this is not Bobby Dunbar. And the police are like, well, who is it then? You weren't giving us a straight answer. And he's like, fine, I'll come clean. My brother stooped some lady and knocked her up. And this is her son. They're not married, so this is a bastard child. He's called Bruce Anderson, and she let him travel with me to help me work while I'm on the road, and she's also working, so it's hard for her to take care of him. This is like an illegitimate kind of shameful child in our family. My brother knocked someone up.
Yeah, so like it was that shameful that you're getting taken down for kidnapping him rather than tell the truth for ages.
So the police were like, you know what, you're a weird man with all your stuff in a hanky on a stick. And these are respected, wealthy, God-fearing parents from Opelousas. So we
You're
believe
guilty.
them. Yeah, and you're guilty.
Yeah.
So they throw William Walters in jail and they give this boy to the Dunbars, who take him home as Bobby Dunbar. Opelousas is so excited Bobby has been found. When they get home with him, there's a massive parade. There's like a fair and they're all just treating him like he's this superstar. The press is there. There's a massive story. He gets all these presents. They give him a pony.
Whoa!
I know. So whether it's Bobby or not, at this point, he's like,
Kid's like,
this
I'll
is
be Bobby.
awesome.
I'm Bobby.
I'm Bobby.
Bobby.
This is cool. So because it's a national news story, though, a woman called Julia Anderson reads about it, looks at the picture in the paper, and she's like, hold
my
up,
kid.
that's my son Bruce.
So she knows what her kid looks like.
I sent off on a trip with William Walters, the brother of the dude who knocked me up, to help him on the road. And so she comes forward and she's like, yo, I know what my kid looks like, and that's my kid. And nobody believes her because she's a single, unwed mother and she's had other children to different men, and those children have been removed from her care. And also people were like, you know, even if he is your kid, how could you have just handed him over to this dude? Like, what's your deal? You're a terrible mother. So
And no one knows what the kids look like, so don't lie.
Yeah. So a journalist, though, thinks it's a fascinating story. And the journalist is like, what if little Bobby Dunbar, miraculously found after 8 months and returned home to his loving family, isn't actually little Bobby Dunbar? So the journalist pays to have Julia Anderson go to Opelousas to see Bobby. So, like, this journalist knows how to make good reality TV. You know what I mean? But the town of Opelousas, who've been so excited about Bobby being back to the point where they threw him a parade and gave him a pony. And also the Dunbars are like the fancy rich family of the town. They immediately are just suspicious of Julia Dunbar the second she walks in because they just don't want it to not be true. They're like, who are you? What is this? And she sees Bobby and initially says, like, oh, I'm not sure. Because by this point, it's been a year. I don't know. How much do kids grow in a year? A lot?
Oh, I don't know.
You've got 3.
Yeah. Well, they seem to be bigger than they used to be, so.
Yeah. She's is unsure at first. Like, she's honest about it. But then she asks to see him again the next day. And interestingly, she also asks to give him a bath. Like, she says that will help. And so she also, like, this kid's just getting passed around to people going, I'll recognise him if I can give him a bath.
Yeah,
So
like, I don't recognise him from a photo or like his head or anything, but
his
like
face.
his naked
Getting
body.
in the wet.
So she
creeps.
gives him a bath, and then she gives him an orange, which is his favourite food, and apparently he's really excited to get this orange. And then they're chatting, and they seem, you know, like there's some, it seems like he knows who she is, and she's like, yes, this is my son. That's not Bobby Dunbar. That's Bruce Anderson. Like, this is, that's my son. But again, nobody believes her, and the Dunbars are fancy, and she's, according to the Times, not the best character. And they also say, you know, well, you weren't sure yesterday. And it's like, well, neither was Leslie Dunbar, but she gets less of a chance. And then also what clinches it for her is as soon as there's talk of her saying, like, no, that's definitely Bruce, that's my son, he's looking over at his pony and he's like, no, I don't know her. Take your orange back, strange lady.
Nice one, Brucey.
So Bobby starts saying he doesn't know her either. And so the town just kind of says to her, sorry, no, this is Bobby Dunbar. And she says, she insists, no, that's my son. But she can't afford a lawyer, and the Dunbars can afford just all the lawyers. And so there is a custody case. They win, of course. And so the courts legally declare him Bobby Dunbar, the Dunbar's son. And she's just asked to leave. And so she goes back to her hometown. And once the boy is confirmed as Bobby Dunbar, William Walters, her baby daddy's brother, who's been in prison this whole time, then it's like, well, if he's confirmed as Bobby Dunbar, then that confirms that he's kidnapped. So he gets tried for kidnapping and found guilty and gets given life in prison.
Oh my gosh.
Julia Anderson tries coming back. Like, she comes back and testifies in his case. He cannot have kidnapped Bobby Dunbar because that child is not Bobby Dunbar. That child is Bruce, my son. But that is rejected. The premise of that is rejected because they're like, sorry, no, it's Bobby and he's guilty. 2 years, though, he is found not guilty on appeal. There's some kind of legal technicality. A lawyer works pro bono for him and he gets released just because of the messiness of the whole case and the identity of Bobby. He is released after 2 years in prison, but he does live out the remainder of his life with people thinking he was a kidnapper who got like a get out of jail free card, but he was still a terrible person. So that's very sad. Now, Bobby Dunbar lives out the remainder of his life as Bobby Dunbar. He goes on to have many children and grandchildren. He runs a service station and he dies a pretty old man in Opelousas in 1966. But one of his...
Please tell me they do DNA on his kids.
Hold on.
Oh my God, this is so good. I'm sorry. I'm just like, sorry. Okay, go.
Zipped it. Do you
I'm so
really think
excited.
do you really think I was going to go and he dies an old man in Opelousas in 1966? That's
The
the end.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, I'm so excited. Go.
So, Julia Anderson, Bruce Anderson's mother, always insisted her entire life that the Dunbars had kidnapped Bobby, like Bruce, from her. The Anderson family, so her entire family, also always believed that Bruce had been kidnapped and the man calling himself Bobby Dunbar was Bruce. The Dunbar family, who had been very well-to-do in 1912, went on to become extremely important and wealthy in the town, and it was a name that people were proud to have, and there was a lot of family wealth involved. So the direct descendants of Bobby were very much like, if he's not a Dunbar, we don't want to know, because a lot was riding on them being actual descendants of this family. So it kind of got to a point where the Dunbars were just like, he's Bobby and we don't talk about it. But Bobby Dunbar had a granddaughter, Margaret, and she was obsessed with the whole story.
You would be.
And she said she asked him a few times when he was alive if he was Bobby or if he was Bruce, and he always insisted he was Bobby. He didn't want to talk about it. His son said that he once asked him and he just snapped and said, I know who I am. I know who you are. Nothing else matters. Don't ask me about it again. So then he dies in 1966. 33 years later, in 1999, Margaret decides to start her own investigation of events. And Margaret initially starts this investigation thinking she will prove that her grandfather is Bobby Dunbar, that we'll get rid of all this nonsense. The Andersons are crazy. We will prove it. But she, during the course of her research, is ultimately led to the belief that, no, that's not Bobby Dunbar. That is Bruce Anderson. So in 2004, an Associated Press reporter approaches her because she's like done some press talking about the story, because it's a pretty well-known family and it's a pretty well-known story. And she's done some press saying that she thinks that Bobby's actually Bruce, and she wants to reach out to people in the Anderson family to maybe work with them. And so this reporter from the Associated Press approaches her and says, would you like to do DNA tests?
Yes, I would, Kent.
Bobby Dunbar Jr., who is the son of Bobby Dunbar, agrees to do a DNA test, and that test is measured against the DNA of Alonzo, the brother, against his son. And because of the way male DNA works, there has to be a match there, or else they are not related. So the DNA results are in.
The Jerry Springer moment.
What do you guys think?
He is not Bobby Dunbar.
He's not Bobby Dunbar.
He is Bobby Dunbar.
Oh, you
No, I'm kidding. He's not.
I was like,
He is not related to Alonzo, so he is not Bobby Dunbar.
does Bobby Dunbar Jr. change his name to Bruce Anderson Jr.?
Okay, well, here's the thing. They also did DNA testing on like one of the grandchildren in the Anderson family, and it was inconclusive. So it's not, they assume most 95% that he probably is Bruce Anderson, but like apparently the DNA person that they tested in the Anderson family wasn't the best kind of most optimum test they could do. So the fact that it came back inconclusive doesn't 100% mean he's not Bruce, but it also doesn't conclusively prove that it is Bruce. So, but they think that he probably
Wouldn't any of the Andersons been like clambering to give their DNA?
I mean, I don't know. I think they were. So there must have been a reason that, I don't know, maybe he didn't have direct male descendants or something. It was some reason
maybe
it
also
didn't match.
because all of those, like her other kids were with different dads and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe there was some.
Like, who knows? But anyway, they could never conclusively confirm it. So in 2008, This American Life did an audio documentary on this whole story called The Ghost of Bobby Dunbar. That was all about his granddaughter Margaret's investigation. And even though Bobby had always insisted when asked while he was alive that he was Bobby, and even snapped at his son that one time that he asked, in that This American Life documentary, one of the sons of Julia Anderson recalls that in 1944, a man came to visit him at his work and was like asking him a lot of questions just about his family and his life and whatever. And when he saw pictures of a grown-up Bobby Dunbar later, he was like, that's that guy that came to my work one day and was talking to me. And his sister, Jules, so another one of the daughters, recounted that a similar experience happened to her a couple years later when a man that she believes to be Dunbar came to a service station where she worked, and he was chatting to her for an extended period, just asking her about her childhood and whether it had been happy and her life, and just like very sort of random questions for just a random customer at the service station. And she too recognized later that that was Bobby Dunbar. So interesting that like he says he didn't believe it, and he says that he doesn't remember that he was Bruce, but he seemed to have had some kind of inclination to go back and talk to members of the Anderson family.
He just wanted the pony.
Exactly.
And like he was a kid and maybe he got into, like he wanted the pony, and then 2 months later he was like, uh-oh. The Dunbar family also had a similar story. So Bobby Dunbar, one of his sons, Gerald, said they were returning home from a trip in 1963 and they passed through the town where Bruce Anderson had lived with his mum when he was little. And Bobby Dunbar says those are the people they came to pick me up from, pointing to like a family home. And like he never mentioned it again. So he just like, there were little things that happened over the years that indicate that Bobby Dunbar did remember, because you remember things from when you're 4.
Yeah.
You don't remember nothing. So also in the This American Life documentary, Margaret expressed her own opinion about like where she landed in it all, like considering she initially started investigating thinking it would prove her grandfather was Bobby Dunbar. She said that she thinks the real Bobby Dunbar most likely fell into the lake during the fishing trip and drowned and was probably just eaten by an alligator. Yeah. Like it's very common to not find any remains when there are animals like that eating them. She revealed that the results of her investigation had brought a lot of joy to Julia Anderson's family and like the DNA tests as vindication of her claims, as well as to William Walter's family, because he'd lived his life in sort of exile and shame, and it was finally an exoneration of the kidnapping accusation against him. Margaret also said that her own findings had caused a lot of drama within her own family because a majority of her grandfather's children and grandchildren consider themselves to be like members of the Dunbar like lineage, and they were very proud of that, and they were very resentful of her for having sort of blown this thing wide open. It was something that they would have much preferred be kept a secret and not brought into the public eye. So, I mean, like I said, it's not 100% conclusive that that kid was Bruce, but when you hear that Bobby went back and started talking to people, he certainly had something drawing him to those people and that town, and he did it all for a pony.
Yeah, I wonder if they had not been so wealthy and it had just been like,
if it was shitter than where he'd been.
Yeah,
you know?
or just comparable.
Yeah. You know? So that is just the gist, murder of the disappearance of Bobby Dunbar.
The worst babysitting gig ever.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, thanks.
Great.
Go home and take a note of what your 4-year-old looks like.
Yeah. Just try
Just
and
in
remember,
case.
what does he look like? Pick up
Just
the
in
wrong kid.
case.
Thank you for listening to Just the Gist, a Just the Network production. Executive produced and hosted by me, Rosie Waterland. Produced and edited by James Joseph with additional production support from JTG team Kate Lever and Hayley Stavely and Acast legends Guy Scott Wilson and Simon McDermott. Looking for breaking news? It drops on the Just the Gist Patreon every Tuesday, along with a whole lot of other bonus audio, video, and behind-the-scenes content, which you can access for just $1, $1 a week by clicking the link in the show notes or searching Just the Gist Podcast on Patreon. Follow Just the Gist on Instagram and TikTok at Just the Gist Podcast, and watch the video version of every episode on our YouTube channel, also at, funnily enough, Just the Gist Podcast. Follow Rosie, that's me, in all of the places at Rosie Waterland. Want to give us a suggestion? Tell Rosie to stop singing so much? Email us at hello@justthegist.com.au. Thank you, as always, for listening. Now go say something impressive at a dinner party. Bye.